F1 2019 today for the Tuesday division of F1 Online. Our track today is Austria, and we just got qualifying underway. I just got back in the door, so I missed the first couple minutes of this, but let's go ahead, hop in, and check out our driver lineup for the day, see where everybody stands in terms of pace around Austria. Red Bull Ring is one of the, if not the shortest track on the F1 calendar. Should see some lap times under the 110 mark. Anything in the 105 range for qualifying is going to be a pretty good lap around here. So we'll check in with our drivers, see where everybody stands at the moment, and hopefully we get a good, entertaining race today here at Austria as we hop into qualifying here, and we can already see Niels putting in the quickest lap of the session so far at a 1:04.882. So that's definitely a good time, not only for Niels, but a good time in general. As you can see, the split down the field here so far is not too wide of a gap. It's only about a second between first and 10th at the moment, with a couple guys still left to put in their laps. Let's see if we can hop on board with someone who's in their flying lap. Looks like Lexidus is off to the side. Marked Cap is not doing a lap right now. Looks like he's saving some battery. But let's hop on board with Whistler, as it looks like he is getting his flying lap underway here at Austria. Appears to be a decent lap here so far from Whistler as he wraps up Sector 2. Across the line, Whistler puts in a 1:06.37. So not a bad lap from Whistler there. He will be looking to improve on that if he wants to keep himself in the hunt for Q2. As we hop on board with Barry, looks like he is also on an in-lap at the moment. Hopping on board with Jake, who just wrapped up his lap. As you can see, the split times there between first all the way down to, well, it's sixth is only about a 4/10 gap at the moment, so pretty competitive, close driving at the moment. We still have 4 guys yet to put in their lap, but let's see if they are out on track. Looks like Savas Grace is just wrapping up Sector 2 as he manages to go purple there. Coming across the line, what's his time going to be from Savas Grace? And he puts in a 1:04.876, so just edging out Niels for that first place spot at the moment. But again, this is only Q1, so promising signs from Savas Grace, as we have seen across the last couple weeks of the Tuesday division. So props to him for getting that lap done, as Flory crosses the line, moves himself up into 10th. Then Jeff, our only remaining driver to put in a lap time at the moment, as he is coming around the final set of corners here in Sector 3. What's this time going to be from Den Jeff? Is he going to get himself up into Q2 easily? Yes, he does. A 1:05.227. So now you can take a look at that leaderboard all the way from first down to 14th, separated by less than a second. So going to be a tight battle on track today. Expecting a lot of good action from our drivers, and yeah, we will see how things play out here. Looks like Den Jeff is electing to go again here on the same pair of softs. Not a bad move, as it is only Q1, so don't want to waste any tires unnecessarily, but we will ride on board with him here as he looks to improve on that time, get himself out of that danger zone, which about 3/10 back from him at the moment is that danger zone, so he's going to be looking to find a little bit of time in this lap, get himself moved up the leaderboard and comfortably into Q2. Into that tricky right-hander, almost losing the tail end of the car there on the curb. Coming across the line, manages to improve on that time just by about 0.2 of a second there, but that should be enough to keep him out of that danger zone for the moment. It's a good lap there from Den Jeff, as it looks like Forey is on his in-lap at the moment as well, as we hop on board with Division here, as it looks like he is pushing through the end of Sector 3. Actually opting to go into the pits, looks like, for a fresh pair of softs. As we hop on board with Wheatflex. Flex down in 15th at the moment, but again, only 0.7 would bring him all the way up into the top 5 at the moment, so let's see what Wheatflex can do as he goes through Sector 1. Not managing to go purple here, but getting a pretty good run down the straight. Decent exit coming off of that corner as he loses back in just a tiny bit. That is going to hurt him on the straight here, but not a bad lap so far. We'll see if he can improve on that time. Like I said, even marginally, be a big step up in terms of where he stands on the leaderboard at the moment. So he throws the car through the last 2 corners of Sector 3. What's this time going to be from Wheatflex? Pulling up to the 104s, 105, and he does manage to improve, but only ever so slightly on this lap. And that's going to put him at the stake for potentially getting knocked out by one of these drivers who is quite close behind him, although for the moment it looks like these guys are sticking in the pits. RSF1 Hunt looking like he is out for another flying lap here, as he comes up the first long straight here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. And is that a Renault off in Sector 2? Appearing to be rejoining the track at the moment. Let's take a look. Looks like the car seems to be fine. Not sure exactly what happened there. Potentially just pulling off for some faster drivers on their out lap. Sorry, their push lap. As RSF1 Hunt is wrapping up Sector 3 here. What's this time going to be from RSF1 Hunt? Appears to be a pretty good time so far as he approaches the line. A 1:05.436, so that puts him up into 11th place for the moment. But as I said, really tight grid from first all the way down to 16th, less than 8/10 between them. So this is going to be interesting. This is a battle of 10ths here today at the Red Bull Ring. Who is going to be able to find that extra little bit of time and put themselves potentially in the front of the grid? As we get back on board with Division here, who is out for his other flying lap. It might be his last one of the session, depending on how it goes, as he is firing down the straight here in Sector 1. Not managing to go purple there, just a little bit off his PB today, as he gets a phenomenal exit down the second set of straights here in Sector 2. I'd imagine our front runners there in Savas, Grace, Niels, and Just Timo may not be coming out for another lap here in Q1, as they do have a pretty sizable margin down to that relegation zone that would kick you out of Q2. As interesting line for Division there. Looks like he might be opting to, yes he is, going back into the pits potentially for a fresh set of tires, as he backed out of that lap right in the middle of Sector 3. Can't blame him there. This could be his opportunity to get himself into that Q2 position. Don't want to take any chances. As we see, Denjeff has retired from the session. It appears F1 Giancarlos is the only driver out on track at the moment who is putting in a time. And what's his time going to be from F1 Giancarlos? As he is right again on that edge, and he moves himself up into 10th place, which means we have only less than 8/10 between first and 16th. So these guys are all right around the same pace here today at the Red Bull Ring. And is that Whistler out for a flying lap? Let's check in with him, as he is down in 18th at the moment. And yes, it is. Whistler is pushing here through the beginning of Sector 2. And that's Whistler's Sector 2 over there, as he is into Sector 3 here. He is going to have to push very hard if he wants to get himself into Q2 at the moment. Just about 8/10 it looks like, maybe a little bit more off of getting himself there. But as he wraps up the last corner of Sector 3, what time is this going to be for Whistler, as he only manages to improve ever so slightly, and I don't think that is going to be good enough to get him into the second round of qualifying here. As we hop on board with Lexidus, who is out for his flying lap as well, also trying to get a little bit of improvement in his lap time so he can bump himself up into that Q2 position. And there is SLR Dylan also retiring from the session. So those guys pretty confident that the 5/10 of a second between them and being out of this qualifying is going to stick, as Lexus approaches the final corners of Sector 3 here, managing to keep his car together pretty nicely as he gets a ever so decent run down the straight here. What's his time going to be? And yes, Lexus 1:05.3, which moves him up into 11th place. As we are back watching Ipovic put in his lap here, seemingly okay for the moment, but again, 1/10 being out of Q2, so he is going to be pushing to make sure he gets himself that opportunity to start in the front running 14 of the grid. As Lexidus pleased with that lap as well, don't think he's going to have time to improve anyways. RSF1 Hunt also opting out, and that means Whistler's day is over in qualifying. He will be starting 17th on the grid. Ipovic crossing the line, and it appears he is going for a second push lap here. Wasn't able to improve So interesting to see, is Ipovic gonna potentially get bumped out of this one? And no, that is it for our bottom guys getting knocked out of the session here. So RSF1 Hunt, Division, Whistler, and Marked Cap will be starting at the back of the grid and not advancing into Q2. So as you can see it there from Q1, as we check in with Jerem, as he appears to be the only driver left out on track, also going through a push lap at the moment, it appears. Nope, looks like he has either chosen to back out of it, or maybe his car is being controlled by AI at the moment. Either way, Savas Grace taking first in this first qualifying session with a 1:04.876. Niels just barely off the back of Savas, only 0.006 seconds. Just Timo rounding out that top three again, only about 800 separating Timo and Savas Grace. So very tight and competitive at the top, all the way down through even P8 to Jake is only about 2.250 seconds away from pole position. So we have wrapped up Q1 here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. As I said, RSF1 Hunt, Division, Whistler, and Marked Cap will not be moving on to Q2. So tough qualifying for them. We will see what kind of pace they have in the race. And that is Q1 done. And we are back for the start of Q2. Looks like Wheatflex, nope, F1 Giancarlo's first one out of the pits here. So we will hop on board with Giancarlo, see what kind of time he is going to be able to put in to start out the session as he comes out on the medium compound of tires. Just behind him appears to be, is that cringy? No, it is RSF1 Hunt, I believe. He is out on the hard compound at the moment. To be honest, not too sure what the differences in lap time are going to look like between the mediums and the hards, as looks like Giancarlo is letting RSF1 Hunt slide by there, potentially get his lap time in first. So RSF1 Hunt, again, out on that hard tire compound. We will actually take a peek at what all of our drivers are going to be using to put in their Q2 time. So far, RSF1 Hunt, the only driver out on that hard compound, but plenty of guys in the mix choosing that medium one to see what kind of time they could potentially do as RSF1 Hunt comes around the final set of corners here in Sector 3. He will be the first to put that lap time in here in Q2. as RSF1 Hunt getting his Sector 3 underway. A quick sector in each here around Austria. As I said, one of the shorter courses on the calendar as he rounds the final corner. And what's this time going to be from him, setting off the bar with a 107. So the hard compound definitely seeming to be a bit slower, as it looks like F1 Giancarlos chose to back out of his qualifying lap. Economic Barry putting in a 106.4 on the medium compound. Jake S, a 105.9 on that medium pair. So definitely a solid lap there from Jake, as we saw from those Q1 times. That's pretty close up there. And Niels clocking in a 105.4 on that medium compound. So only about 0.6 off of his time from the first qualifying session. Let's check in here. It looks like Wheatflex is out for his flying lap. He has chosen the medium compound for Q2 here. As plenty of drivers clocking in laps now. Den Jeff actually taking over that pole spot from Niels, but choosing to go out on that soft compound, so no surprises there in terms of putting down a little bit quicker lap time than our medium runners, as we now have 11 guys done here with a lap already in Q2. As I said, F1 Giancarlos choosing to what looked like be back out of that first lap he chose to do. He is kind of running around aimlessly here at the moment, maybe pulling over for an upcoming driver. Yes, there is, looks like maybe his teammate in the Williams, Jerem, out for a flying lap. So let's hop on board with Jerem real quick. Nope, Jerem is done with his lap, so good to see all the drivers getting in a lap early here. Relatively close field at the moment as Savas Grace heads to the end of Q1, sorry, Sector 1. Savas Grace wrapping up Sector 2 here. Not managing to go purple there, but still putting in a pretty decent time. He fires around the final two corners and he will go back into the pits, so a little bit of a break period here for him as we hop on board with, let's see who is out for a flying lap again. F1 Giancarlos pulled off to the side as he invalidated that lap as well. Here's for the moment that none of our drivers are out for a push lap, so we are just checking back in on the standings here at the moment. Den Jeff putting in that fastest lap on the soft tire, a 104.798. Niels, the quickest runner on the mediums so far, clocking in a 105.4, as Den Jeff has chosen to retire from the session, so he's happy with starting on that soft compound. As we will hop on board with Timo, as it looks like he is about to begin another lap here. as Timo approaches the final 2 corners here. Again, 4 laps already done on that medium tire, so not sure how he's going to be feeling for grip or pace at the moment, but he crosses the line, manages to move himself up into 2nd place. And I would imagine that Timo is going to be completely fine with that lap in this session. Might not even bother to head out for another one, as it looks like he has a significant gap as Barry comes very close to Timo there on his run. Let's check in with Barry. Nice purple sector there from Economic Barry, wrapping up sector 3. What's this time gonna be from Barry? He clocks in at a 1:05.7, so again, very nice lap from Economic Barry, moving just ahead of Jake for the moment, although Jake opting to go out on that soft tire, it looks like, when he comes back out. Jerem thinking about doing the same, as we still have just over 5 minutes to go here in Q2. And this appears to be John Carlos on his flying lap here on the medium tire as well. He is currently way back from the rest of our runners putting in time, but I'm assuming he's had a couple minor issues with those laps, so let's see what F1 John Carlos can do, as he is running down the 2nd straightaway here in the beginning of sector 2. What's this time going to be from John Carlos? Appears to be pretty good so far, a 1:06, so hanging on for the moment, but not going to be good enough to get him into Q3. If he looks to move on to there, he's going to have to give it another go, to say the least. We hop on board with Cringy, who is coming just to the end of his lap here in sector 3. Actually appears that he is going to be going back into the pits as well. Flex out on that soft tire, and he is pushing down the straightaway here in sector 2. Looking pretty good so far from Reflex, as he is down the start-finish straight. What time is this going to be from Reflex? A 1:05.3, so second fastest runner of the session. Again, though, just about 0.06 off of just Timo, who's on that medium tire, so not sure if that will be good enough if the rest of the field does decide to go out on softs. It appears we have a large group of them who have decided to switch over and see what kind of times they can do. Here's Forey on his push lap, currently sitting in P14 for the moment. Going to be looking to get himself into Q3 with just under 2.5 minutes remaining. as Foria managed to set a purple sector 2 for the moment. Then Jeff still sitting pretty comfortably there at the top of leaderboard in Q2 as Foria crosses the line. What time is this going to be from him? And that's a 105.3, so not good enough to beat out Timo, but good enough to get him up into 4th for the moment. And let's check in with Ipovic, who is rounding out Sector 3 here, the only driver yet to put in a time. Rifling through Sector 2 here. What's this time going to be from him? He manages to go purple there. So a good lap so far from Ipovic. Is he going to be able to get himself into Q2 as we have seen SLR Dylan also retiring from the session? Potentially a risky move from Dylan there. Not sure if his time is going to stick him into the top 10, but he feels comfortable that it will as Ipovic crosses the start-finish line and he is up into 4th place for the moment, only about 2/10 off of Den Jeff and Cringy. So that is really putting Dylan into that danger zone as Q2 is officially over. Only our drivers out on flying laps are going to be able to set a new time. And as we see, a good majority of our front runners are not, as Jake puts in the fastest lap just over Den Jeff. That means SLR Dylan is on the chopping block for whoever is going to be able to beat his time in that bottom four. And yes, he has been knocked out. F1 John Carlos across the line. Not good enough to get him into Q3. So as it stands for the moment, RSF1 Hunt and SLR Dylan out for sure, as well as John Carlos as Jerem finishing up his lap here. He's going to be pushing. What's his time going to be from Jerem as he is able to improve up to 2nd place? So that means Lexidus, SLR Dylan, F1 John Carlos, and for the moment, potentially Niels as he is wrapping up, but he invalidated it on his last attempt to get into Q3, and that is a heartbreaker for Niels, who was looking to have some pretty strong pace and get himself into Q3, but no. Looks like Niels, Lexidus, SLR Dylan, F1 John Carlos, and RSF1 Hunt will not be moving on into Q3. And as we wait for Q3 to get underway here, I'm going to step away for just a moment, so stick with us and we'll be right back. So there you have it. Only one driver making it through into Q3 on that medium compound, just Timo, managing to squeak out the 9th place position, only a 10th separating him and Niels as we approach Q3 here at Austria. We are live and back getting Q3 underway here at the Red Bull Ring. I am your streamer today, ABR Buraps. Feel free to drop me a follow on Twitch. I will be doing the Tuesday and Friday streams for the time being, hoping that we can get a couple more commentators in the booth for our upcoming races, as we see a couple drivers get out on track here early in Q3 to get a lap time in. And let's hop on board with Den Jeff, who is our front runner for the moment, going to be first to put in a time here in Q3. And here goes Den Jeff for his flying lap to start off the Q3 set of times for our final 10 drivers. Who is going to take pole? Who is going to start in 10th and have a tough go on used tires? Appears to be a pretty decent lap from Den Jeff so far, as he is just about rounding out Sector 2. As all but one driver, Jake, the only one remaining in the pits for the moment. Not sure if this is strategy from Jake or if he is not near his controller / wheel at the moment. So then Jeff approaching the start finish line. What's this time going to be from him on the soft tire? He puts in a 1:04.9, so good lap from Den Jeff there, but don't think that's going to be enough to get him on pole position, as we have a couple drivers approaching the finish line here. Economic Barry putting in his lap first, a 1:04.901, matching Den Jeff. Don't see that every day. As Cringy crosses the line, he gets himself a 1:05.1. Timo a 1:04.7. Savas Grace across the line, a 1:04.467. That is a good lap from Savas there. He's going to have quite some room to work with to keep him in that top 5 running for sure. So it looks like we have a couple guys out on their flying lap here at the moment. All of them just rounding out Sector 1 into 2 on board with Wheatflex. Throwing it through the final 2 corners of Sector 3. Looking like a pretty decent time from Wheatflex so far. What is this going to be? He crosses the line. That is a 1:05.24. So good lap. Not going to be good enough to get him into that top 5 for the moment, as we only have Jake yet to put in a time here. Our drivers only separated by about a little over 0.8 of a second for the moment. Actually, call that 0.9. And that means everyone except for Jake putting in a time so far. Not sure if Jake is planning on putting a lap in. He's been disconnected. If this is a strategy call. And there he comes out of the pit lane for his first lap in Q3 with just 7 minutes to go here. We have a very, very tight grid between spots 4 and 9. So who's going to be able to improve ever so slightly and get themselves into that top 5 to start the race here? comes Jake up the first straightaway of Sector 1. Managing to go purple there. So a good lap from Jake so far. Let's see what his exit's like off that second corner, and his very nice exit as he gets a beautiful start to Sector 2. Jake looking like he is going to be able to get himself up towards those front runners for the moment. And it's purple Sector 2 as well from Jake, so as long as he doesn't invalidate it and wraps up nicely here, which it looks like he does, setting a... Oh, and he invalidates it on the final corner. Is he going to push? Let's see here. It looks like he is, so going for a second consecutive flying lap, and that is tough to see from Jake, who really was throwing the car through that last corner and just went a little bit too much on the curb there. Back up, and actually... he invalidated this lap, so that means Jake, running out of time here, is going to have to get back around, dive into the pits for a fresh pair of tires, and then get himself back out, potentially with enough time to set 2 laps, maybe more like 1, depending on how long his pit stop takes. But Jake, right now, at risk to not get himself up towards that pole position, as it looks like Cringy crosses the line and manages to clock in just about 4/10 off of our leader 7apr2020, who at the moment looking like he might be able to take the crown here in Q3 with just about 4 minutes to go. As Economic Barry puts in a very nice lap, a 104.561. That's going to keep Barry up in that front row of the grid for the moment, but anticipating someone else is going to be having a good lap, as it looks like Timo out for his flying lap now. Yes, he is, so we will ride on board with him, as he is just about 0.250 seconds off of our front runner 7apr2020. Timo out for another push here. No. Looks like he's already backed out of this one. Yes, he has. So good enough for third for the moment. Cringy retiring from the session, topping out at potentially 5th at best. If we hop on board with Forey, he's already invalidated this lap, and that's not good for Forey, as he's only got about a minute 40 here. Should be pretty easy to get back around in time. As Jake, we're going to hop on board with Jake and see what he can do as he gets his flying lap underway. Might have time for 2, depending on how well he manages to put this lap together. May only need 1 from seeing his pace on that first one that was invalidated. yes, Jake is going to go for another push lap here. Let's see what he can do. This is his last chance to get himself into a front running position on the grid as Jerem also decides to retire from the session. Here comes Jake across the line. What time is this going to be from Jake? Wow. Jake gets himself up into 6th place. So that is qualifying over, and I don't believe anybody is left on track apart from what appears to be Economic Barry, who's already invalidated his lap. So that is your grid lineup for today here in Austria. Savas Grace taking pole, Barry in 2nd, Timo in 3rd, Jerem in 4th, Cringy in 5th, Jake in 6th. Then Jeff in 7th, Ipovich 8th, Wheatflex in 9th, and Forey rounding out our points positions for the moment. But stay tuned. We will be back in just a couple minutes for the start of our formation lap and race here around the Red Bull Ring in Austria. So we are out here for our formation lap as the drivers are wrapping up the final corners, ready to go here at Austria. As we reline up the grid, we are ready to go here at the Red Bull Ring. The Tuesday division of F1 Online, we have 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we are away for the start of the Austrian Grand Prix. 7apr getting a good start. Barry getting a little bit squiggly there. And will there be any moves made in the first corner? Oh, and it looks like there is. Jeff down into the bottom positions. John Carlos has been given a 5-second penalty already. That means 7apr, and we have a VSC out on track already to begin this race. Wheatflex cutting the corner and gaining a place. 5-second penalty already tacked on to his day, so Wheatflex not going to be happy with that. As let's take a quick look at the position changes so far. SLR Dylan moving himself up 6 spots to start the race here. Jeff down 9 for the time being, as well as Jake down 6. Niels up 5 himself as we resume racing here. Dylan now up 7 places. It's Ipovic and Jake dropping down the field. Ipovic going into the pits, so potentially picking up some wing damage there. As we have a good battle on track at the moment between most of our front runners who are not separated by all that much for the moment. So Wheatflex going to need to get a push on with his race if he wants to stay in those points positions. That 5-second time penalty already dropping him down to provisional out of the points position. Looking like Barry and Savas are pulling away ever so slightly from the rest of the pack, potentially giving them a little bit more clean air and room to work with as Savas puts in the fastest lap of 107.6 early here, so good lap from Savas. As we have 3 wide into the corner lane. Jerem coming out on top in 3rd place, but 5 drivers all the way down to Niels. Very close at the moment, battling it out for the podium position as Dylan drops back. Cringy moving up into 5th. Oh, and who is that into the wall there? Appears to be, not actually sure. May have been Dylan. It looks like he may be rocking no front wing, so he is into the pits. That is an interesting choice if he doesn't have damage, but I believe he does, it looks like the team is ready and waiting with a new front wing. So yes, Dylan picking up some damage there. Going to set him back in this race. He will need to get a push on if he wants to get anywhere near the points position, opting for the medium tire. So this means Dylan going for the two-stop strategy. Savas and Barry just pulling away here from the rest of the field, but still a very, very tight battle for that podium position. Jerem holding it at the moment. Timo close behind him with Cringy and Niels right on his tail as well. So we are going to let these guys battle it out for a couple laps, see where the field shakes up. But so far, a very interesting start to the race with Ben Jeff dropping from 7th down to 16th. Niels up 5 places into the points, Lexidus as well. And we are beginning lap 5 here on board with Cringy, who is currently in 5th place, pushing and assuming to get himself up into that battle for 3rd, with Niels not too far behind him. And Jake picks up a 3-second time penalty, so Jake's going to have to get a move on as well here. As he's already dropped down 3 spots since the start of this race, and with a time penalty. Going to be interesting to see if that comes into effect later. Dylan also getting a time penalty of 3 seconds for extending the track limits as Cringy gets a little bit squiggly on the exit there, managing to keep the car together pretty nicely as he is hunting down Timo for the moment. Timo looking like he's out on the medium tire with Cringy and Niels pushing behind him, but Timo doing a nice job of keeping himself in the top 4 for now. As Jerem has also pulled away a nice gap on Timo for the moment, but Cringy, thinking about a move down the inside there, decides to back out of it, as RSF1 Hunt also picking up a time penalty, 3 seconds for him. Ooh, and is that Niels thinking about a move down the inside and then backing out of it? Cringy still in 5th for the moment, but Niels with a very nice run down the straightaway on board with Niels. Is he going to think about potentially making a move down the inside here on Cringy? Decides that it's not the time to do that, but he gets a very nice exit off of that corner, and that's dropping Cringy down to 6th place for the moment. Is Cringy going to think about going back in here? And no, he doesn't. Decides to hang in the mirrors of Niels for a little bit longer as Niels gets himself into the top 5 spots. On board here with Lexidus battling it out with Fori and Jake for 8th place. Is that Jake with some damage to his front wing there? So Jake going into the pits. Interesting to see if he is going to opt for the 2-stop or decide to come out on the hard tire. And Niels getting a 3-second time penalty. That's going to hurt Niels for sure, as he is currently in that top 5 position. Jake, a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So things going from bad to worse here for Jake at the moment. He's dropping down the field into 14th. Niels along the outside of just Timo. Is he going to have enough room to pull the move off? Doesn't look like he does, but going for the switchback, Timo blocks it off nicely and holds position. Jerem making inroads on our front runners as Economic Barry has actually taken over the lead from Savas here. So plenty action on track so far as we are wrapping up our 7th lap here. Economic Barry in first, but picking up that 3-second time penalty for running wide on the exit, as you saw, and that's going to give Savas the opportunity to move back ahead. And yes, he has the inside line. Is Barry going to play nice? Ooh, a small bump between the two, but pretty clean, and that means Savas back up into first. And that's giving Jerem a little bit of breathing space to kind of catch up with these guys as he flies into the end of Sector 1, getting a nice exit there in the beginning of Sector 2. Timo still in that DRS range. Niels still in that range. Cringy actually falling back a bit for the moment. Not sure if Cringy's picked up some minor wing damage. Doesn't look like he has. But again, those soft tires now 8 laps old, and you can see he's struggling a little bit for grip at the moment. So Jake opting for that hard tire, probably has the best tire strategy at the moment, but not sure how that's going to play into effect. F1 John Carlos and RSF1 Hunt get into a little bit of a mix-up in Sector 2. That's dropping them back to 10th and 11th respectively. So that gives Forey a little bit of room to breathe here with Lexidus just about a second off of his tail for the moment. Wheatflex kind of running in no man's land, but he's got a 4-second gap to Forey, so as it stands, he would only be down 1 spot if the race were to finish on, let's say, lap 9, but Wheatflex pushing nicely on those softs. Interesting to see when everyone's going to choose to make that pit stop change, who's got the most tire wear, and who has the pace on the hard compound to get themselves onto a podium or pole here today. And it looks like Timo has been disconnected from the session, so expect everyone to at least make up one position on Timo there. Cringy deciding that's enough on the soft tire into the pits. Cringy most likely opting for the hard tire. Looks like that is his choice. No, the mediums for Cringy, so no, sorry, a small game glitch there in the pits, but Cringy out on the hard tire, so he is going to be going to the end, presuming he picks up no wing damage. It's going to be a close exit here with his teammate RSF1, who's going to grab the lead. Looks like Cringy for the moment, but RSF1 Hunt side by side with him, less than a tenth separating the two. Looks like Hunt is going to let Cringy go for the moment. Jake picking up another time penalty. Not going to be too much affecting his race at the moment. He's dropped all the way back to 13th as RSF1 Hunt goes down the inside. Is he going to make the move stick? It looks like he makes a little bit of contact with his teammate, but no damage for either driver, and that means the McLaren boys running 9th and 10th. Savas picking up that 3-second time penalty as well, so kind of back on even playing trend with Barry here. He has pulled out a nice gap with Jerem now battling for that second place position. Niels running on his own with Timo out of the session, and that moves Wheatflex up into 6th place. So nice to see the Ferrari driver putting in a solid performance today. as we approach the end of lap 13, Wheatflex picking up a 3-second time penalty. Sorry, another 5-second time penalty for running wide in that safety car and going into the pit lane a little bit too quickly. Savas deciding to come back out on the medium tire, wondering if he thinks he can make those last until the end of the race here. But Barry on the hards going to be able to keep pushing as long as he can keep up with Savas. He definitely is in this fight. For the first time in F1 Online history, I'm guessing, there's a Ghost car running in first. That's just Timo. It's Ghost running around out there on the medium tire with Lexus closing in very quickly on him. I assume this is going to be a relatively simple pass for Lexus as long as he can get by. And yes, he does open the DRS. He's going to go right through the Ghost of Timo if he can, although Timo's Ghost is making some moves as he does eventually pull off to the side. That gives Savas the opportunity to hop back into second place and hunt down Lexus, who on those much older medium tires is not going to be out there for too much longer. This may help out Economic Barry a little bit, as he's going to still be in the DRS zone of just Timo for the next couple of corners, but potentially laps, depending on how quickly he can get up and through Timo's Ghost. As he does almost pull off the move, he's quite close at the moment, Barry just a tenth or so away. And Lexus deciding to stay out a little bit longer on those medium tires. I'm not sure what his plan is here, if he's going to try to go to the medium soft strategy, in which case he would need to do another 10 laps still to even get into that kind of consideration range. That gives Savas the lead back as Niels pumps in the quickest lap of the day so far, the 1:07 on that medium tire. So Niels still pushing hard here, even after dropping back early. So our leader so far, Savas, out on that medium tire, potentially thinking he can get those through to the end of the race, putting down a pretty nice gap for the moment on Lexus, with Barry and Cringy and Niels now overtaking Timo's car. Looks like Timo's car has gone into the pits, so that will keep him out of the conversation for a little while. But let's check in as Barry is starting to make some inroads here on Jareem, who is on the fresher and softer tires than Barry, as Barry gets extremely back-end happy in the beginning of Sector 2 and just lost a lot of time that he's going to have to try to make back up if he wants to stay in the conversation for a podium position. That's giving Cringy the chance to move back into the fight for the 4 front-running positions, and Niels not too far off of him, with Dylan trailing just about 7/10 as well. That's one of those moments on track that Barry is going to remember as he approaches the final 2 corners here on lap 17. Going to be hesitant to push as much on the gas out of corners, going to give him a little bit less speed on the straightaways. Is that going to play into his day as Dylan picks up I believe what might be his second 3-second time penalty of the day. Barry seemingly holding it together nicely for the moment, but Cringy closing down on him quickly as we see that battle between Jerem and Lexidus still going on up front. And Jerem manages to overtake Lexidus onto that straightaway, so that moves Jerem into second and gives Barry the opportunity to potentially gain a little bit of time on those guys as they battle it out. Cringy still about 7/10 off of Barry for the time being. Niels has closed down that gap now, and Dylan has dropped back just a little bit. So we are halfway through our Austrian Grand Prix. Savas Greece, your leader for the moment. Jerem in second, about 2.5 off of him. Lexidus still tailing around the back of Jerem. Barry making some inroads towards Lexidus with Cringy and Niels just behind him for the 6th position. And there goes Cringy for a move down the outside of Barry on the second straightaway. Barry defending pretty nicely, but losing the back end just ever so slightly. Might Cringy go for another move? No, instead it looks like Niels thinking about something, but Niels backs out of that one. Oh, and it looks like Niels may have been taken out on the roundabout, and he has. Niels dropping down to 7th place. That gives Dylan a little bit of clean air to go after Cringy. And Niels sliding back almost into the clutches of Wheatflex as that gap is now down to just under 2 seconds and dropping. So are we going to see Wheatflex moving up the field here? This could be very interesting as he's already gotten himself into 8th place and clear of Forey by 6 seconds now. So plenty of room for Wheatflex to keep himself in the conversation for the top 8 positions. As Cringy has also gone off in corner 1, that means Niels is going to easily breeze by him. And Wheatflex now, and ooh, is that Niels all over the track as well? Plenty of action in Sector 1 here. Cringy picking up that time penalty. And what is this? Niels defending extremely aggressively on Wheatflex. Let's hop on board with Wheatflex to see what kind of tactics Niels pulled out there. That seemed to me like a little bit of aggressive defending. Niels trying to make the move back around Cringy. Is he going to be able to? And yes, he has. Cringy struggling for grip at the moment. Cringy may have lost part of his front wing. Let's check in. And yes, an end plate gone for sure, but it looks like potentially more than that. So Cringy in a really tough spot here as he went out on that hard tire compound only 10 laps ago. Gonna have to stop if he has any chance of getting himself into the points today. Lexus into the pits as well now for that soft compound, so he believes 15 laps here on softs is doable. I think he's going to be finding it a little bit tricky to find grip at the end of the race as is that Forey that goes by Lexus out of the pit lane there. So Lexus coming back out in 9th, but plenty of grip ahead for him as he is stuck behind 2 hard-running drivers at the moment, which means he should have no issue getting himself back up into 7th and then potentially closing the gap down on Wheatflex if he can. For the moment, we don't have too many battles going on track apart from Forey, Lexidus, and Jake for that 8th position. Most of our drivers spreading out the top 7 spread out by quite a significant margin of time for the moment. So let's see what Lexidus can do as he is closing in ever so slightly on Jake. Not going to make a move into the first corner here. Not a bad decision from him as he's going to pick up DRS and get a very nice exit down the Sector 1 straightaway. this should be a relatively simple move, although he doesn't seem to be getting by ever that quickly. And no, Fori holding off Lexidus, and starting to get a little bit concerned. Can Lexidus get around him and into the area that Jake is running right now? He's going to need to get by him here on this lap if he has any interest in doing so. It appears they are approaching... Is that a... That's Jake, yes. Jake in the other Mercedes. My apologies. As we hop on board with Lexidus, still pushing hard on those fresh softs. He needs to get around 40 here if he wants to get himself into the battle for 6th. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to get by, though. Doesn't seem to have the best straight line speed. He's going to need to get creative, and that's Lexidus picking up a 3-second time penalty on Carlos as well. But Lexidus now ever more needing to push hard, as he is going to have to find some time to keep him running in, let's say, the top 9 for sure. So Lexidus already dropping back a little bit. I'm wondering if he's picked up some wing damage. It doesn't look like he has, so interesting to see if he's just letting Fori run out on the hard tire as potentially a Mercedes move here to keep Lexidus behind. He's got 12 laps to go here. Might actually save a little bit of sorry, I have to quickly switch topics as Economic Barry has appeared to have left the session. His car is ghosted, which means Savas pretty much on his own page here for the rest of the race, unless Jerem has something to say about it. With Barry, Niels, Wheatflex, Jake, and Dylan running far behind. Dylan has gone back into the pits again, so that's Dylan's second pit stop out for that soft tire. This is the move that Dylan decided to go with, as you can see that battle up ahead of him for 6th place with Jake. Let's see if Dylan can make some inroads on those top 8, 7, and 6th runners. Whistler picking up a 3-second time penalty. So Lexidus has managed to get through and begin his push on Jake, which shouldn't be too hard. Niels picking up a 3-second time penalty. Not going to matter all too much for the moment, as he doesn't have anyone close to him apart from Wheatflex, with Barry being removed from the session. Dylan managing to close the gap very nicely and very quickly onto the back of Fori, and potentially thinking about a move into this fast right. No, he doesn't. Going to keep his place for the time being. Interesting to see if he will go for the move down the straightaway here, which it looks like he will, getting a nice exit there. We hop on board, and yes, they've already swapped positions, so an easy move from Dylan. Not sure if Fori just decided to say, you know what, this isn't my fight, this isn't my battle, letting Dylan through and letting Dylan go after Jake and Lexidus. Lexidus has made a move around the outside, blocking off Jake, and that means Dylan right up into the battle in just one sector. Cringy picking up another time penalty. He's dropped back to 11th place. And we have a yellow flag in Sector 2. Who is that Weed Flex who's been spun around? Doesn't seem to have any damage. Not sure what happened, but Wheat Flex relegating himself back to 9th for the moment with no one really in the same ballpark as him in terms of where they are on track. That's allowed Forey to get up into 8th, Jake in 7th, Dylan in 6th, now hunting down Lexus for that 5th place position, with Barry just ahead of them. Again, a ghosted car. Actually, it appears Barry's back. Not entirely sure if Barry was able to re-enter the session or what, but looks like this is Barry back in his car, so now a new battle to go on track here, but those top 3 looking like they're kind of in their own world for the moment, with Savas 3.5 seconds ahead of Jerem, and Niels 12 back of them, Barry 10 back of them, which means our battle on track right now is for the 4th place position between our number 5 and 6 runners, with 7 and 8 not entirely far behind, as Lexidus has dropped a spot to Dylan now. Those soft tires, not sure if he has been pushing too hard, if he's losing a little bit of grip, but that's given Dylan the opportunity to get back into the fight for 4th, as Savas picks up another 3-second time penalty. So depending on where Jareem stands in terms of penalties, we could see him potentially claiming 1st place as Economic Barry, Dylan, and Lexidus wrap up lap 28 here at the Red Bull Ring. Barry defending deep to the inside on Dylan. Dylan seems to get the better brake line through there, and yes, he does. 1 place up to Barry, and now Lexidus about to do the same to Barry. Barry losing out on could be 2 positions in a set of just 1 sector. Thinks better about it though, Lexidus, as he tucks in behind Barry. Going to be able to pick up the DRS here. Picking up another time penalty. Barry fighting back at Dylan, but not the smartest move, as that's allowed Lexus to get alongside of him, but Barry still holding the position. Dylan now just pulling away on those fresh tires. I don't think he's got enough in them to get himself back into the hunt for a podium position, but really impressive performance from Dylan so far, as he's had an interesting 2-stop strategy work out for him to land him in 4th. There goes Lexus down the outside of Barry. Is Barry going to outbrake him? It looks like he does, but smart move by Lexus to pull the switch back as Barry dives into the side of him. Not sure if either driver picked up damage there. It doesn't look like either of them has. So good news for Lexus, is that could have been very tragic for either of those drivers. But Dylan now pulled away from Lexus during that battle. Managing to get himself a 2-second gap, and actually starting to make a little bit of time up to Niels in front of him, but with only 6 laps to go, wondering if that's going to be enough. Although Dylan is out on that fresh soft tire compound, he is going to need to make those last for 6 more laps comfortably, as he picks up a 3-second time penalty for running wide in Sector 3 there. So now an even bigger battle ahead, depending on what Niels' penalties look like, as Dylan pumps in the fastest lap, a 1:07.048. Dylan kind of on his own for the moment, so we check back in with Barry, as well as Forey and Jake coming up behind them, battling it out still for 6th. As we see here, Savas still running strong out in front on the medium tire. Let's see if he can make 6 more laps stick on them as he crosses the line to begin lap 31 here. 5 laps to go in Austria. Your leader, Savas Greece, Jareem in 2nd, Niels in 3rd, SLR Dylan in 4th, Lexidus in P5, Barry in P6, Forey in 7th, Jake in 8th, Wheat Flex in 9th, and Cringy rounding out the top 10. With Carlos Only about 3 seconds off of him on much older tires, but Cringy does have a couple time penalties, so we'll see how that affects his day too. As Lexidus has finally gotten through Barry, that's going to give him the opportunity to push, potentially get away, and keep his position on track. Then Jeff and Carlos swap positions outside of the points, and starting to wonder, can Den Jeff maybe catch up to Cringy as he is out on the soft compound and closing in ever so slightly on Cringy. Wheatflex picking up a 3-second time penalty, so I'm not sure if he has already served his 10. So that means, as it stands, that puts Cringy up into P9. Not what Wheatflex wanted at this stage of the race. And right now, our best battle on track between Jake and Forey in the Mercedes cars. They are both on pretty old hard tires here. It's interesting to see if Jake can hang on to the back of Forey and make a move in the final 3 laps here at Austria. Is that Jake? Cringy retiring from the session, so Cringy's out of this race as well. Jake getting past his teammate and moving up into 7th. Barry not actually too far ahead of them, still trying to hold on to the back of Lexidus if he can, but looking like our front runners have their places locked up. Savas, 3-second gap on Jareem with a 12-second gap back on Niels, so plenty of space for our front runners. Two laps to go here. It looks like someone's slowing down, and Whistler out of this session now as well. That's Barry now back up into the fight with Lexidus. Lexidus maybe making a small mistake. As we start our final lap here in Austria, not too much mixing up on the leaderboard, but Barry is hanging on to the back of Lexidus. Is he going to be able to make a move as we have the Mercedes boys battling in the background? Fori potentially going to make a move on Jake here as well. And yes, that is Fori up into 7th place, so Fori has retaken 7th place back from his teammate Jake. And that is it. Jerem overtaking Savas, given his time penalties. Niels in 3rd, Dylan in 4th, Lexidus in 5th, Barry in 6th, Fori in 7th, Jake in 8th, Wheatflex holding on for 9th, and then Jeff rounding out the top 10. And there you have it, Jerem, our race winner today, making his strategy work to finish just ahead of Savas, who picked up 9 seconds of time penalties, as it looks like most of our drivers did. So congratulations to Jerem, Savas in 2nd, Niels rounding out our podium, Dylan in 4th, Lexidus 5th. Thank you guys for tuning in if you were able to catch the stream live. If not, this will be posted up on my Twitch, so feel free to check that out when you get the chance. Congratulations again to Jerem, and I will catch you guys very soon. Thanks.